The year is 1992, and Snap was right, the rhythm is a dancer. This was also the year when the Crying Game let it all hang out at the box office, and British TVs were absolutely fabulous. But more than anything else, 1992 was the year that brought us Super Play, a monthly Nintendo-themed magazine from Future that would go on to publish 47 issues and quickly become one of Britain's best gaming resources. Hello, my name is Cyril, and I've traveled all the way to jolly old England for this debut episode of Super Play's Top 600. Over the next 12 episodes, we're going to count down every single game Super Play reviewed in those 47 issues. From legitimate classics to hidden gems to a myriad of movie-licensed games that you've completely forgotten about. We're going to cover them all. And the way we're going to do that is by reading each game's verdict. That was usually the wrap-up at the end, where Super Play would sum the game's quality up in a biting and often sarcastic way. These are the funniest bits and should help to keep us laughing as we look at the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games released on the Super NES. Now, before we begin, the one thing that you need to know about this countdown is that there aren't actually 600 reviews. Based on my count, there's 601 reviews. However, the number that we're going to go with for this countdown is actually 594. Why the discrepancy? Well, the simple answer is that Super Play occasionally reviewed the same game multiple times. For example, they might review the Japanese version one month and then the European release the next, giving both games the exact same grade. In an attempt to not be redundant, I've removed all the duplicate reviews, with the exception of the versions that received different scores. And then I round it up, I hope you don't mind. I think we can all agree that Super Play's top 594 sounds like a terrible show, and you definitely wouldn't have clicked on it. So, with that controversy out of the way, I say it's time to kick off our countdown with, hey Lauren, what's going on? Kinda looks like you have something on your mind.
Don't worry, Cyril. Don't worry. I got here just in time.
In time for what?
To host the show. I heard that you were doing a series about the popular UK gaming magazine Super Play, and I figured that you'd want me to host.
Oh, well, I guess I didn't even consider that you'd want to host the show. I mean, I figured that since I did the Electronic Gaming Monthly and Nintendo Power countdowns, I'd just do the same for Super Play.
Sure, I get that, but shouldn't we go with, someone a little bit more, qualified?
What do you mean, qualified?
Come on, Cyril. Don't make me say it.
No, I think you're gonna need to say it.
It's because you're not British. How is a Yank gonna count down one of England's greatest gaming magazines? That'd be like Christian Stewart trying to play Princess Diana.
Or Robert Pattinson as Batman, yeah. Look, I'm gonna host the show, is that okay? But don't go anywhere, because in those moments when there's a reference or a Britishism I don't get, I'll let you know so that you can clue us all in. Does that sound like a plan?
Fine.
Alright, with that controversy out of the way, let's take a look at the 44 lowest rated Super NES games according to Super Play. Up first is number 594, Pit Fighter. Yikes, where's the scaling graphics? Where's the gameplay? Where's the receipt? Not recommended. Number 593, Jeopardy. Very much an American product, you won't understand 3/4 of the questions, but still completely knob and a waste of money. Number 592, Time Cop. Not just a bad movie, but a bad game too. Avoid the temporal roser at all costs. You've been warned. Number 591, American Gladiators. It was inevitable, perhaps, but this is appalling. And it doesn't even manage to incorporate any of the TV program's appeal. Number 590, George Foreman's KO Boxing. Useless boxing game that is a strong contender for the worst Super NES release of all time. Number 589, Super Bikkuriman. If it wasn't for Pit Fighter, this would be the worst beat-em-up ever. So a bit of a narrow escape there then, eh? Number 588, Wheel of Fortune. A truly appalling idea for a game, never mind a television program. The strange hold it had on us initially soon evaporated. Number 587, Kawasaki Caribbean Challenge. To add insult to injury, Kawasaki doesn't even include the one thing that could have saved it, a 2-player mode. Put your 60 pounds towards a plane ticket instead. Number 586, Road Riot 4-wheel drive. Buy this instead of Mario Kart and we'll send the boys round. The worst driving game on the Super NES by miles. Number 585, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. If you can play this without constantly thinking of better things to do, your lifestyle really wants working on. Number 584, Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero is very, very poor. Don't even consider it if you're looking for value for money. There's no action, there's no hero, and it's the last thing you should ever spend £45 on. Number 583, California Games 2. California Games 2 is an outrageously poor multi-event sports sim. Well, at least it doesn't have the nerve to try to be something that it isn't. Number 582, Cliffhanger. This is a fourth-rate and wholly derivative game that will appeal to no one, not even Sly fanatics. Number 581, Toys. This really is very boring, and although it's quite difficult, the hour or two that I spent stranded in level 1 was, I felt, long enough. Number 580, The Hunt for Red October. Apart from the Super Scope bit, there's nothing about this game that says Super Nintendo any louder than it says VIC-20. Number 579, P.T.O. 2. Nice for Koei employees, I'm sure, but for any game player with an ounce of taste, this represents a real trough of Super NES entertainment. They've taken one of the most interesting episodes in history and made it slightly less interesting than sorting out tax returns. Number 578, Tintin in Tibet. An insult to Hergé and his fans. Gamers of the world unite! Put an end to such cynical cash-ins by refusing to buy it, even if you see it reduced to 10 quid, as it will be very quickly, I assure you. Number 577, Izzy's Quest for the Olympics. Graphically okay, but this has been done and done and done again. Worse still, I can't ever remember it being done much worse. Number 576, Wayne's World. It's conceivably just conceivable that if you were wild about the films, you might enjoy this simply for the sake of the sound effects and the pictures of our heroes. But viewed as a game in its own right, it's ropey stuff. Number 575, Robocop vs. the Terminator. The slackest, shabbiest, laziest film license I've seen in years. Gorgeous graphics, but don't let them sucker you. Number 574, Animaniacs. Less a clever game based on a funny cartoon, more a grindingly tedious disaster. Number 573, Outlander. A very poor effort. It's fun watching all the motorcyclists getting killed, but only for a minute or two. The actual game itself, well, there isn't one, to be honest. Not that we can find. Number 572, Alien vs. Predator. Not quite in the same dire league as Pit Fighter and its motley chums, but severely lacking all the same. The name is probably the best thing about this whole sorry project. Number 571, James Bond Jr. Quick, turn the page, you really shouldn't be looking at this. It's ghastly, American trash of the First Order, with no redeeming features whatsoever. Burn it. Number 570, Worldwide Soccer. Almost certainly the worst football game on the Super Nintendo, and likely to remain so for some time to come. Number 569, Paperboy 2. Painfully, teeth-grindingly tedious. You want to rinse your mouth out after playing it. Number 568, Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventures. You can't help wishing this game had never been released. If Noel's House Party is crap, then this goes right off the scale. Noel's House Party? What the hell's that? Oh, I know. Let's ask Lorne.
Oh man, Noel's House Party. What a great show. Mr. Blobby, gunge everywhere. Just a series of can-do, fun-loving, crinkly-bottom living people living in a... Okay, I never saw it. Leave me alone.
Oh, it was a TV special. That makes sense. It looks like there are even episodes on YouTube. Perfect. But I mean, come on. How bad could this thing possibly be? Number 567, Frantic Flea. One day, I'm going to find the people who wrote this game, and I'm not going to be very pleasant to them. Number 566, The Death and Return of Superman. Mr. Dustman, you forgot this when you collected from us this morning. Take it away, it makes me very unhappy. What a pile of rubbish. Number 565, Captain America. Not a very good game at all. If you liked the coin-op, which seems pretty unlikely, it might persuade you, though. Number 564, Justice League. Before going to town, put on your mom's old tights, your dad's baggy Y-fronts, and stick a dustbin bag around your shoulders like a cape. Your embarrassment will be nothing compared to what is felt by anybody who buys Justice League. Number 563, Sonic Blast Man 2. After all the games that we've insisted be released over here, this is one game which we're happy will likely remain firmly where it is. Number 562, Home Alone 2. Really dull, really unimaginative, and extremely poor value for money. Buy this and you'll be Home Alone 2, because your family won't come near you. Number 561, Warpspeed. Graphically and sonically, this is extremely crude. Wing Commander fans might take to the gameplay, but for the rest of us, it's a really dated concept. Number 560, Rise of the Robots. Easily the worst beat-em-up ever made. A fact highlighted by the enormous and unjustified hype. Sad as it sounds, the Super NES version is still the best version of the lot. Buying this would be a cataclysmically stupid thing to do. Number 559, Psycho Dreams. How do games of such startling banality get off the drawing board? Who the hell is buying them? Not you, hopefully. Number 558, Home Alone. If you're the type of person who'd go out intentionally and buy a game called Home Alone, well, then you deserve everything that you get. Number 557, SimEarth. Poor presentation is the least of the sins of this overambitious and fatally flawed eco-sim. It's simply tedious in the extreme to play, and really should be avoided at all costs. Number 556, Super F1 Circus 2. For this price, you should expect a lot more excitement for your money. Don't even bother, because it's not worth the money. Number 555, Hungry Dinosaurs. Has all the visual hallmarks of a classic puzzler, but just doesn't cut it. In fact, so misplaced is the concept that it represents only a mildly entertaining diversion at the very most. Number 554, Race Drivin. Xcert graphics, all rightish, and I stress on the ish, gameplay, but zero lasting appeal. The moo, where you run over the cow, is nice, though. Number 553, Ushio Tora. A truly dismal game that you could finish on your first go if you wanted, and isn't worth the chips it's encoded on. Perhaps what's worse is that you're given infinite credits. Into the bargain. Number 552, Winter Olympics. Having 10 events in the game should provide variety, but because none of them are any good, it doesn't work like that. So don't buy Winter Olympics. It's a complete waste of $49.99. And finally, number 551, Cacoma Night in Bizland. You gotta be bonkers to fork over £45 for this. If drawing right angles is your passion, buy a couple of pencils and a set square. So what did we learn from this first batch of games? Well, we learned that Superplay hated all the game shows that we tried to export, specifically Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, and they hated American Gladiators. I mean, how can you hate American Gladiators? They also called James Bond Jr. American trash, which is probably true of the cartoon, but I'll have you know that the game was developed by Canadians. Get it right. Speaking of things they didn't like, they hated both of those Home Alone games. I hope they didn't even bother watching that recent movie. And while we're talking about Christmas garbage, today I learned that Noel's House Party is a thing that I can and definitely will watch on YouTube. But before I do that, I need to remind you that we're going to be back tomorrow, that's November 26th, to count down the next 50 games. We will then be switching to the show's regular schedule, which will be every Tuesday and Friday leading right up to New Year's Eve. And if you're watching in the future, I'm going to be throwing all of these episodes into a playlist. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'm going to go see what that Noel's House Party thing was all about. See you tomorrow. Oh hey, it's me again. Thanks for watching this debut episode of Superplay's Top 600. If you ended up liking this episode, please do me a favor and let other people know about this series. Let me tell you, shows like this take a long time to put together, and your support makes all the difference when it comes to getting it in front of people's eyes. Here's the question I have for you. What is the worst Super NES game of all time? Do you think it's one of the games mentioned in this episode, or is it something that's coming up in the future? I'm excited to see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back tomorrow with the next 50 games in our countdown. Next week, look for the return of Game Over, and then another episode of our countdown on both Tuesday and Friday. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,